Welcome back to the channel, members of the chapter. I know that Lieutenant Titus is a very popular action figure just because he's been popularized in the video game Space Marine as well as Space Marine 2. So obviously his action figure has quickly sold out. So in this video, we are going to be taking a look at 4 different Ultramarines lieutenants to determine which one looks the most like Lieutenant Titus based on, helmet, chest, as well as other bits on the action figure, so that you can have a Lieutenant Titus like, well, lieutenant. So let's find out which of these 4 lieutenants look the most like the most famous lieutenant. Alright, over here we have the 4 candidates for the lieutenants that look the most like Lieutenant Titus. So over here we have the Heroes of the Chapter lieutenant. I can't remember his name for the life of me. Over here we have a Lieutenant Horatius. Over here we have a Lieutenant Amulius. And then over here we have Lieutenant Argaranthe. So we are first going to start off with the helmet area to see which one looks the most like Titus. I can clearly tell you that the ones with the laurels are completely out, so that leaves this lieutenant here as well as this lieutenant. I would have to say this is probably the closest match to Lieutenant Titus. Now, the reason why I'm not too much of a fan of Amulius is that you have a red stripe, but it kind of tapers down in the middle of it, and the white stripes are just much too thick. Now, let's take a look at this chest area over here. Each and every single one of these action figures back here, especially these 3, have a winged skull, which actually is pretty close to this one, but it doesn't really have the Ultramarine's U. Also, this action figure has the studs right here, which kind of matches Titus's studs. So in all honesty, when I take a look at Argaranthe, I think he is going to be the best candidate for the chest that looks the most like Titus. Now, taking a look at the pauldrons, I would have to say that the Heroes of the Chapter pauldron is definitely not like Titus's. Horatius's pauldron is actually pretty good because of this thicker band right here. You have this Ultramarines U, just like you find here with Titus. Amulius's is just too thin and too plain, in my opinion. And Argaranthe's pauldron isn't a good fit either. With regard to the right pauldron, unfortunately, there is no lieutenant here that is going to match his pauldron. So I'll have to say, pauldron-wise, we are definitely going to have to be going for Horatius's pauldron. Now, taking a look at the arms of Titus, obviously, none of these 4 action figures beneath Titus are going to have the specialty chain. But if you take these chains off, you will notice that Titus actually has a very plain arm area. So the Heroes of the Chapter arm has a skull, kind of rules him out. Horatius's arm is just much too ornate right here. Same thing with Amulius's arm, and Argaranthe's arm is way too ornate just because of this sort of sun symbol with a skull at the center of it. So I don't know. To be honest, this is kind of a tough call because none of these arms are actually very good. However, I will let you know, I'm cheating here, I understand that, but this is a regular version 3 intercessor, and I think that this version 3 intercessor's arms probably look the most like Titus's. If you look at it side by side, yes, he does have this fancy instrument panel over here. I think that this is a good candidate for the arm, but if you're gonna push me and say that I have to stick with one of the lieutenants here, I guess Amulius is going to be the best fit for the arms. Now, the waist area is probably going to be completely impossible to replicate just because of all the specialized bits and pieces that Titus has. I would have to say Horatius has the best waist just because he's got this cloth tabard that is very similar to Titus. And now we are on the topic of the legs. Which of these legs resemble Titus's legs the most? So just to refresh your memory, this is Titus's leg. So he's got an Ultramarines chapter symbol on the right knee, as well as this laureled skull right here. So I can honestly say the Heroes of the Chapter one is out. Horatius is out just because of this badging right here. Amulius is actually pretty decent, but he's got this extra symbol right here that kind of throws things off. But I think our biggest winner is actually Argaranthe, just because his legs are so similar to Titus's. Look at this thing. It's almost a mirror image. All you have to do is slap a purity seal right here, and it's a perfect fit. So now taking a look at the backpack area, again, these 4 action figures here, you're not going to get a complete fit with Titus. So we're going to have to pick the closest one. Right off the bat, Amulius is completely out due to this halo that's back here, but I will have to honestly say that each and every single one of the rest of the lieutenants are actually pretty fair game. So maybe I'll pick Argaranthe just for the hell of it. Now, with regards to the weapons, I would have to say it is pretty clear, and there's only one lieutenant that would closely match Lieutenant Titus's loadout right here. Obviously, this is a bolt pistol and chainsword. The other lieutenants up here all have power swords, which leaves Lieutenant Horatius as the best candidate in this aspect. Out of all the categories combined, these are your two lieutenants that actually come closest to matching Lieutenant Titus. If I were to buy an action figure that is most like Lieutenant Titus, I would definitely have to go with this Lieutenant Horatius action figure. Haha, my Frankenstein Lieutenant Titus lives. Look how glorious he is. So I took the helmet from the Lieutenant of the Heroes of the Chapter, the chest of Argaranthe, used the pauldrons of Horatius, cheated and used a regular Ultramarine's intercessor arm, used the waist of Horatius just for this lovely tabard area. Gotta love the back tabard too. And finally the legs of Argaranthe to make this Frankenstein Titus. He is fantastic looking, and I bet you can't even tell the difference between this one and the real one. No, obviously you can, but this is the best I could do with the resources that are given to me and probably to you too. You can see that the helmet is not 100% match. Obviously the chest area is not 100% match. The tabard area is fairly decent, as well as the waist area. I think that the nail has definitely hit on the head with the leg area. This is the area that probably most closely resembles Titus. And so, by the powers of all the lieutenants combined, you can make a fairly decent Titus, but it still is not 100%. Alright, members of the chapter, please let me know which lieutenant you thought should have won the Titus look-alike contest, or if your channel master was off on his assessments. So if you have these 4 lieutenants, plus 1 regular intercessor, you can actually mash them together into one very Titus look-alike kind of figure. But the thing is, why the heck would you want to do that? Because each and every single one of these lieutenants are anywhere between $30 to $40, and then the intercessors are around $20 to $25. So if you take the different bits and bobs from each and every single one of these action figures, you're probably going to be down close to around $100 to maybe like $120, which is a lot of money, when you can just wait for another reissue of Titus in the near future for only, what, $55 to $60. So I don't really see any reason why you would want to spend the money to make a amalgamation of Titus when he doesn't even look 100% like him. But at any rate, if you are interested in purchasing any of these action figures, there is only one online web store to purchase them at, which is David Toys. So you click on the link in the description below, or you will be brought to their website. Once again, I plug them because I use them to buy each and every single one of my action figures, and for us poor US residents, we actually do get free shipping, and we are not going to be subject to the tariff, which is very nice. And before you check out, do not forget to use the code SNS to receive 12% off of your purchase. And so, members of the chapter, as well as Titus aficionados, thank you so much for watching this video. I appreciate each and every single one of your views, likes, and subscribes. They help the channel so much. And with that being said, I'll see you all in the next one.